all of this is what we can derive positively from death in terms of um, well, yeah, how to be more mindful and appreciative of the present moment. And I think that that's a very valuable lesson to be aware of. I'm here. I'm in a great mood. So I thought let's talk about death. It's the perfect topic. The great equalizer. The constant companion. The great unknown. Well, it really is the great unknown. Socrates, for example, talked about how as death may either be the greatest of goods or the most horrible of bads, that it essentially makes no sense to be taken into consideration when making any choice, really. He said that in his last defense, where he famously wasn't acquitted, but sentenced to death by poison, which he took in stride, as a real philosopher always would. Drink the poison. So, what he said was that every soldier, for example, is able to run from death should he really wish to. However, it's not really reasonable to do so, as again, it's just a neutral. We have no idea what awaits us beyond the veil. It's maybe it's a cool party where people like elephants and act as them, or it is the river Styx from Greek mythology and very cold, damp, and unpleasant. And if you don't have any money, well, you're screwed. So as we have no idea of knowing, it really makes no sense to believe that we should strive towards not dying. It's just a thing that's going to happen either way. It's not something we can run away from forever. It's just our basic situation. So if you have the ability of doing the good, that was what he argued. If you know something to be good, then it makes sense to do it, even while it may lead to death, because death isn't bad or good, but the good definitively is good. So if you know something to be good, it's worth dying for it, which he did. Which Plato never forgive democracy for unimportant. Socrates is dead, and we are all still here. It makes more sense to think about what is the good now and not what will happen after our deaths, or what will the good be then. Like, how can we achieve the good then? If you catch my meaning, people, for example, sacrificing their whole lives or relationships for some hope into a pleasant after to get into a pleasant afterlife. And yeah, just say swear words if it's appropriate. It doesn't really make sense to plan for the next life in this one. Just try to do what's appropriate in the now, in this life. Try to figure out what is the good, and to do it. That's the yen tip for the day. Try to figure out what is the good and then do it. Ah. Philosophy is absurd and beautiful. So let's talk more about death and its aspect as the constant companion. Because, as you're probably aware of, there is a Star Trek movie where the two famous Captains Kirk and Picard meet in a horrible amalgamation of trying to prop up a newer franchise with the old, washed up actors. But that's not important. What's important is that there is a metaphor about death in there. One character, the big bad guy, sees death as a mountain lion, a dangerous animal, always trying to sneak up on him and ready to pounce at any moment and to eradicate everything that he is, was, and has well, try to achieve. However, the other perspective that I think Picard has is to see death as a constant companion, a friend who is pointing out how beautiful, how unique, how appreciate worthy the present moment is, as it's fleeting. It's the it's the state of the universe, and everything's changing always. The law of impermanence, or whatever it is, and well, to make yourself aware of that, it's helpful to understand that it may end at any moment, that it is ending at any moment. You're really dying each and every moment, because each and every moment you're changing. If you believe that you are your body, definitively, your body is changing at any given moment, all the time. Old cells are dying, new cells are being produced, and well, things are blown in the wind. Maybe your hair falls out without you realizing it, or a piece of eye fluid is dripping down. Everything is in constant movement. So everything is in constant flux. Death is just another form of change. It's a movement from one part to the other, from my perspective. And through this metaphor, through this understanding of death, you can gain a new appreciation for life, which I was saying. It's also a sentiment that is expressed in an episode of Scraps, where a dying patient talks about how it's so important to treasure death as a friend, because it's the thing that motivates you to take risks. She says, death was the one who pushed me on my back and made me ask out Jerry Sanders in seventh grade to go to the dance with me. It was death that made me visit Europe and travel to Paris. It was death that made me stay at home with my daughters when they were born, so that I may spend more time with them instead of go to work. It's all of this is what we can derive positively from death in terms of well, yeah, how to be more mindful and appreciative of the present moment. And I think that that's a very valuable lesson to be aware of. Those are a few aspects of death that I was initially talking about, but let's talk about my favorite aspect of death, namely the aspect of life. As to me, life and death are synonyms, really, as it is impossible to have life without death, and vice versa. So, if you ever believe that death and life are two separate things, maybe reconsider that, because those two things are interdependent. If you take one out of the equation, the other one can't exist on its own either. It's like, yeah, being two sides of the same coin. If you take one side, you can't have the coin no more. You have only one side of the coin. And that's not a coin. It doesn't work. You can't separate one from the other. Like love and marriage. It's inseparable. So you can really see life and death as synonyms, because they are the same thing. They describe the same phenomena. You could either say that you are currently living, or you could say that you are currently dying. Both is correct. You're currently in the process, drawn out as it may be, of dying, because that's the definitive end of this journey. There's a saying, why be afraid of death? Death is perfectly safe.